Welcome to Alum at Alma talk. Today we are going to have Ranjan Rajagopalan as the person we will be interacting with. Ranjan completed BTech MTech dual degree from our department in 2017. His DDP was on new constructs for meta programming through source to source translation. He was a software engineer at Google for around 4 years, where he launched a verification framework to improve local search freshness. In 2023, he began his entrepreneurial journey as a co-founder and CTO of Astra. In this startup, he designed and tested an RLVR agent for sales, which outperformed state-of-the-art models in automated CRM updates by 20%. Astra also made a lot of news. He is now a co-founder of Promana Labs, and which is an AI startup planning to revolutionize LLMs in a different context. Yeah, so with that introduction, I'm going to hand it over to Ranjan. Ranjan, over to you.
Yeah, thanks a lot for the introduction, sir. Uh, yeah, basically what sir introduced about me. Just filling in the gaps over there. My journey has been like moving from a very small company, even prior to Google, and even prior finishing college. My last year was actually where I had started up a company. I was a CTO of this company called Maximal. The company still exists. It's an IITM incubated company. I spent a good year and a half over there. We ran a early pilot in a large oil and gas refinery over there. I understood a lot of nitty-gritty surrounding implementation and how do you understand user behavior back then. Uh, Towards the, I think during my last semester, I had to drop out of that, and yeah, then started my journey towards basically trying to figure out what else I like. I used to love math. That's how I stumbled upon into the high frequency trading phase. I joined this company called Graviton. Spent a year over there working in low latency systems and working on strategies in markets. Graviton had phenomenal growth. They started with around I think 6 crore of capital back in 2013. Now they are managing I think their profit pool last in 2024 was around 2000 crores. So they grew phenomenally well. I was part of their early team over there. Was able to see a lot of success, but I wanted to move closer to product, and that's when I joined Google. So the curve was like I started it basically as a founder, then moved to a company. When I joined Graviton, it was around like 20 people or so. Then moved to Google, which is like more than a lakh engineers. Then moved to, before Astra, I was a founding engineer in a company called ProShot. Spent a year over there, and then started my own company. Now I'm at Ramana. So life has come a full circle that way. Has been a pretty interesting journey. Basically, moving from being a founder to being at a very large company back to being a founder. It took me some time even to, like, let's say, bite of failure in the first run and come back to the space. It has been like a pretty fantastic journey. And so this is just a very free flowing discussion, so to put it. Just some of the learnings which I have had, some mistakes which I did, some things which I did right also. Just trying to share a bunch of these things. This is roughly my mind map of how I need to go about it, or also how I would advise other people to also go about it. They are thinking about like a startup life, so to speak. Uh, some of the very early things to talk about is like uh, so when we start, we generally allocate a longer time period for most of what we try to do, uh, but this might end up working in the reverse. uh, Industry, majorly the investment industry, has this terminology called traction. It looks like a very vague terminology because for everything, like, let's say you're hiring a new team member, that's called traction. You gain some revenue, that is called traction. You get some proof of concept interactions with customers, that is called traction. you have a large like you just build your sales pipeline, that is called traction. Everything in the world is called traction. But one of the key things which we tend to miss is that let's say uh, you don't measure these things properly and stuff like that, you will tend to miss through the cracks. And some of the things which as founders which we tend to make ourselves is like fool ourselves. Like let's say you initially give yourself 2 weeks to speak with 10 prospects, and at the end of 3 weeks you have spoken with 2 prospects. In your heart of hearts you know that you have failed at the task, but then you try rationalizing to yourself as to, okay, this is probably not failure, but I need to readjust my goals and stuff like that. uh, Believe me, you will know when it catches fire. Like I have been through these different journeys. Earlier in Maximal I knew that when the users are actually using the product. In Astra I knew when we were able to speak with multiple of these clients. In Pramana, like even before let's say my co-founder quit my company, investors started putting in money. Our team size is already 8, and really strong engineers at that. You will know when it starts catching fire. And good ideas generally don't slowly click. Even before, let's say, your tech is completely set, even before you have customers, live customers, you will be able to inspire such kind of energy. And like people will want to get on board fairly quickly. Like some of the early things which I see with Pramana is that I have not, I mean, the product is not ready. It is very early stages, but I'm seeing people asking, okay, can I try out an API? We don't have an API yet, but they're saying that, okay, we are willing to partner fairly quickly. That's when you see that, okay, an idea is starting to resonate. This is mostly in the first two, what you're seeing is the positive side of things. The third is mostly for us to recuperate. You need to set very, very tight timelines and revisit whatever decisions you're taking. Set time boxes and revisit and be true to yourself. That's extremely important as a founder. That You might need to kill fast. You might be trying a strategy, you might be trying out an idea, but let's say you can set a time boundary of 3 weeks, and if it's not working, you should just kill it off. Like even just before starting Pramana, I had this idea of creating a new kind of teaching platform called Neos. We actually launched a product over there. We tried a little bit of distribution, but we knew that, okay, it's not catching fire. We're still using it internally, but you should just understand that, okay, these ideas get traction, these ideas don't, and you should be okay with it. Being a founder comes with a lot of accepting failure, so to speak. Uh, but accepting failure faster is a much better thing to do. And the fourth thing is, again, this will repeatedly happen as a founder, but you should understand where to draw the line. You will get dragged into something uphill, and it will take a lot of time. You understand that you will have a sunk cost fallacy. That's something which you'll have to come out of. And the next thing is about building a very strong opinion. One other thing which you need to figure out is that, and also all of us are like from IIT and whatnot, right? We are prone to being right, and we want everyone who we speak with to acknowledge that we are right. The world does not work in that manner, especially the startup world. Most of what you're saying, let's say, if you should develop fans for yourself. You don't need you're not getting voted on. You just need a very strong fan base. Like, let's say the world has 1 billion people. If you can find let's say 1,000 or 10,000 people who are like blind followers of yourself, that's far, far better than, let's say, a person who likes you. Like let's say 500 million people like you, that's not going to matter. Having 10,000 people who are fans of you or your idea or what you're trying to do, that starts becoming super, super important. And great startups are birthed from opinions like these. uh, One best example out there I would call is Perplexity. He wanted to reimagine the whole search interface, saying that you don't want blue links anymore, I'll directly give you an answer. If you go back to the very early days of Perplexity, the accuracy might not have been great, but just the idea and just the interface what he had built, it gives you that feeler. And you had like very early fans of the idea. That starts becoming very critical, and you need to own the opinion. Like Perplexity owns the opinion that I want to go after Google. It's a very large mission, and once you have such large missions, it's easier to attract people to stick around. uh, Now it can either come from like core technological breakthroughs, or it can also come from the market saying that okay, something is very clearly broken over there. The very key factor is that you should be able to stick to your mission as well, because if you're not able to stick to your mission, if your mission keeps being flakier, then you will reach a plateau. This has happened to me with my different startups as well, that okay, we start with a particular mission statement, and if we see that the mission is continuously changing and it's not very stable, and then it also becomes harder for you to get more inspirational folks in. Like earlier, I think Peter Thiel makes this statement also, saying that if you're starting a company, think about the 20th employee in the company. Ideally, you want the 20th employee to be as skilled as you. So that's also a very subtler message, that every hire you're doing should raise the average IQ of your team or average capability of your team. So if you're continuously trying to do it, at one point in time, it will taper off. Like the ownership percentage might not be too high for the 20th person. You'll have to give like 0.2%, 0.1%. At that point in time, what will pull through is the amount of energy which you have. So that starts becoming very key. And once you have like a very large mission and a strong opinion, like I'll give you a very very vague example, right? It's much better for you to say that I will solve cancer. When you say that you will solve cancer, uh, it looks like an absurd mission. But believe me, let's say you spend 3 to 4 months going deeper into the problem, you will have a new insight, and people will start respecting you for the insight. And you don't need, like let's say even you're trying to raise money for your idea, etc. You don't need 100 out of 100 VCs wanting to come behind you. You want those three very strong backers. uh, that's all you need. Like, and you will also see that the whole world is running on bunch of uh, FOMOs, so to speak. You excite one person, you will see that that bubbles up very very quickly, both in the investor market and in the team market, and even as customers. You build, like let's say you are talking about curing cancer, you will already like, and you say one very very strong thing about it, right? Doing X has a higher percentage of curing cancer. You will already see a lot of people trying to listen to you. A very very small example is that my LinkedIn profile, if you go and see, I would have just written a one liner saying that this is the most outrageous idea you would be hearing. Now a lot of these VC firms just look at that and they just ping me saying that okay, what is the outrageous idea? I want to hear about it. Now innately you need to believe these things, that okay, you are working on something very big, and it needs to be opinionated too. You don't need a lot of people agreeing to your opinion. It's okay if you have an opinion which not a lot of people even agree with. And this is another very very key factor, which again I learned with time. We get the sense that solving a small problem and solving a big problem, they are proportionate in nature. Unfortunately it is not. You take $100 billion problem statement, or stuff like whatever I'm talking about, even in curing cancer type of problem statements, right? um, you It is as hard to run, let's say, a standard business, or let's say you're opening a shop, or even IT services for that matter. It is going to be as hard as a founder. For an employee it might be different, but for a founder, getting uh, getting traction, even if you are running like an IT service company, it's going to be incredibly hard. getting to that first set of revenue pool, first set of profit, all of these things are going to be very hard. So when one of the first things which you need to do is to convince yourself that you're going after a very big market. If let's say you're going after a market which is a $10 million market, you solve the problem, you will get $10 million worth. I would heavily advise you to go after the other extreme. Solve for a very hard problem. The hardness can come from like a variety of issues. It can come from either the core tech piece of it, or it can also come from marketing aspects. Like I can tell you one very very boring industry, but it's $100 billion industry, which is the insurance market. So you take all these medical insurance, filling and whatnot, right? That's like a $100 billion BPO market today, because people are currently filling in those forms. You might have heard of these companies called Medi Assist and so on. AI provides you a much larger bandwidth that you start filling those things automatically and so on, while the biggest thing over there is trying to get the insurance provider, the hospital, all of them on the same platform, and building trust with them. uh, Technically it's not as challenging as it seems to be, but there is a different type of challenge. But where I'm coming from is that when you are having like a very very large goal, it's easier for, like, most of the other things starts becoming much easier. And the other thing is also that big problems, like again going back to team, right? Big problems attract better people too. To be very honest, for me, I have been a techie at heart. I've done technology all my life. I've been a CTO at two companies prior to this. I was at Google. uh, One of the key things which you see is that when you're surrounding yourself with people at your capability or at higher capability than you, it is an immense source of motivation. And This is a very very crude way of putting it, but you should never feel afraid of asking your, let's say, most accomplished friend to join your company. uh, Now if you want to do that, unless you're solving something big, you will feel a sense of like, again, a crude way of putting it is shame to call a person, okay, why do I need this person to solve this problem? You should never have that. You should have a very core set of confidence that, okay, we are going after something so huge that we need all the firepower. If you're there in that state, things start becoming much easier. You start working backwards on how to make things work. Like one of the key things which I noted over here is like, you take very outrageous missions, they have umpteen number of co-founders. Even if you take our one of biggest successes of research park is Aether, right? Aether had a slew of co-founders, and even Perplexity has 4 co-founders. None of these things are norms, and Anthropic has 7 co-founders. uh, why do they start with such a large thing? Is that their vision is so big, they want such huge set of people starting out. Now that makes the whole team journey and whatever to do later on much better. Current, if you take safe super intelligence SSI, which Ilya Satskivera has started, I think they are only a team of like 25 or 30 people, but each of them are like stalwarts in some sense. So uh, you need to start believing that, okay, we can go after such people, right? So that's another very key factor. Again, this is a call back to what we saw earlier, but this is something which you need to very clearly define, that the total addressable market of what you're trying to do should be significantly higher. Now again, this there might be a little bit of nuance over here. Sometimes the problem statement might be incredibly hard, but the market might not be there. Let's say you're saying cancer as a whole, that's a massive market. But let's say you go very, very deeper, find one particular problem statement where, let's say, the number of cases in the world are like 10 people. This might sound very rude, but that's probably not a market you can focus on. Unfortunately, not. But let's say you're looking at dyslexia or ADHD. There are millions of people suffering from it. and it's not an easy problem to solve as well, that's a much larger market to solve. So that is something which you need to definitely see. And before you start, you need to do that math. If there are a million people who are suffering from ADHD, that's a much larger market. Okay, back of the envelope, how much will they be willing to pay me for this particular benefit? Okay, they might be willing to pay me $1,000, so that's like $1 billion market. Stuff like that will help you a lot, because let's say some of these things might be closer to our heart, or I mean, it might not even be closer to our heart. We might know that okay, this is a very interesting problem to solve, but if you don't see the market for it, things start becoming incredibly hard. And the third part is also a very key piece. Some of the times we kind of delude ourselves saying that okay, this market doesn't exist today, but it will grow later. No, so one of the very key things which you need to focus on is that growing of a market will be like maximum of like 20% is what you can imagine that a market is going to grow. We might fool ourselves to thinking that the market will go 10x. Uh, that is a very key error which I have noticed. Uh, I wouldn't say I have myself done it, but a couple of friends of mine who had gone in the whole, like let's say B2C market, right? Uh, like when you're selling it to consumers, let's say you're selling a fitness product, where today you're not seeing a lot of people use something. If you're expecting a 10x spike, that's not going to happen. You will be expecting like a 10%, 20% spikes. It will probably compound over the years, but this becomes a very big problem. Like if you're expecting, let's say, uh, uh, crores of people buying fitness bands tomorrow, it might not happen. So those are some things which we need to be very clear about. And that's the slight delineation between, let's say, strong opinions and a hard problem versus TAM. Choose a problem with very high TAM and very high, like a very hard problem, so to speak, as well. The other very subtler thing is that have a very clear idea on why you are starting up. That is also a very key piece. Like let's say your core goal, even if let's say it's about only 10 people in the world, but if that's all your core mission is, then scratch all of these things. You are not going after money. If you're not going after money, you're going after something else. Be very clear about it. Be truthful to yourself. At the end of the day, I mean, these things will just keep circling around, right? You need to be truthful to yourself, because the founder ecosystem is such. And yeah, before you emotionally commit, be very clear that this is what we are going after. I can give you very crude examples over here where TAM will not make business sense. Let's say you want to start a school. A school's TAM will get capped at like, let's say 70 crore revenue or something. If you want to sell, like start a school which can admit 2000 people, 70 crore is not going to be a very large business, so to put it, unless you start thinking about it at a chain level. Now, as a startup, if you're starting out, unless you do this math to the nth level, it might not seem very attractive. But if you're committing to something like it, understand that this is a very different type of journey. This is not going to be something like something where you will be able to hyperscale. It is mostly limited by, let's say, what do you, real estate, so to speak. So those are some stuff to understand over here. uh, this is where I'll probably spend most of my time on. Getting good co-founders is going to be extremely extremely important. Um uh, I have seen quite a few people who have started alone as well. Some of the companies where I joined were like solo founders and stuff. And but I have always I've been a strong believer in having a very aligned co-founder. Uh, but this is going to be very key. Some of the things over here is that you need, and this is also a very subtle thing, right? Like there may be some advices saying that okay, don't look at friends as your what do you call it, like co-founders and stuff like that, I'm very much on the opposite extreme. Your best friends are likely your best co-founders. uh, it is okay to get in a more strong opinion echo chamber. You might think that your friend and you might be thinking along similar lines, which will actually help you early in the startup journey. uh, some of your aligned views and stuff like that, I don't know how many of you guys have seen through Y Combinator and stuff like that. This is a very strong thing which they say that, okay, if you have not spent at least 3 years 4 years knowing a person, uh, it becomes very hard for you to form a co-founder relationship with that person. uh, and the very very key part over here is that, at least for me as a person, it took me a lot of time to have uncomfortable conversations. And within co-founders, this is table stakes. Let's say you see that something is broken. You can't uh, you don't have the luxury of postponing uncomfortable conversations. You need to have it on the day whenever you are feeling it. And this is again the second part of it, right? It's not just that you need to have, the other person should also be equally adept to having such conversations. Temperatures are going to rise. Like you can't assume that the going is going to be smooth. You will have very very critical conversations which you will need to have. Let's say something is going on, you will have some legal questions to answer. You might not be on the same page about a particular thing. Technical discussions might take a detour. A customer who had come on might have dropped off. How do you handle those conversations? How do you know which of these things you need to surface? All of these things start becoming very very key things. But these things become 10x 100x easier if you know the other person in and out. So that's a very very key thing. And that's the core thing, right? Like top drawer trust even beats capability to a large extent. But that's a very very core thing which I would call out, that go for people who you have a lot of relationship with. And one great co-founder will be much much bigger than like three so and so co-founders, or even for that matter employees to an extent. uh, yeah, and I have seen these things playing out in a different manner as well. Being a founder is a very very lonely journey, because to the extent of the tea only you will understand. So unless you have a co-founder in the loop, it becomes very very hard. When you are a solo founder, what ends up happening is that the whole weight falls on you, and you need to take the call, which becomes a huge amount of responsibility. But if you have a few co-founders in the mix, uh, it is more than by two. Like even if you have like one more co-founder, uh, it feels like there is like a 4x 5x reduction, because you don't get into any echo chambers, you don't get into any doubts of thoughts. And one again another subtler point to note over here: uh, anyone outside of the co-founder loop, like let's say outside of the team, if you're having an external person, it is an opinion. It's not going to be treated at the same level as a co-founder opinion or co-founder discussion. You have a co-founder discussion is a much more safer space, where decisions are going to be taken. uh, if you're going solo, that's another mistake which you need to be aware of. You should be okay, you need to very clearly delineate between something like a boardroom or a co-founder discussion and an external opinion discussion. External opinion discussion, you have the option of picking it in, digesting, etc. The trouble with having a solo founder discussion is that you are in an echo chamber. And there are two types of risks. One, you might amplify your positive side of things, which I will still say is okay. But the bigger risk is your negative side of things. Let's say you have a negative thought process. Coming out of a negative thought process is incredibly difficult unless you have another person who is also at the same level of risk as yourself. Uh, this is again a very very basic thing, but I have come to learn in a very different way, right? Learning to sell is again table stakes as a founder, whichever style you're thinking about it. You need to sell visions to your customers. You need to sell a large mission to the team, saying that okay, you're coming in, you are going to be the front face of the company, you're going to push it forward. And you need to sell urgency to the customers, because customers, like, most of the times what you will end up seeing is that customers will have the conversation, but they will not be able to see why they need to buy it yesterday. They would have had a requirement, but you need to sell that urgency to them. As a technical person, the second part is something which I took a long time to understand. Technical brilliance does not equal adoption. Like, you might have built something very, very hard to build, but if you're not communicating it properly to the other side, uh, you will find it very hard for that to be a sell. And this third part is actually very, very key. Uh, uh, Indians in general have this notion that stating an ambition is a lie. This is something which I very particularly believe that we need to grow out of. Uh, like, I know a couple of mission statements which sound crazy, but if you see a pathway to that, right, you need to pitch that. Another, like a couple of examples which I can give over here is that, like, I can give three examples maybe. One way where it sounds slightly lesser ambitious, and more and more ambitious in some sense, right? Like, a lesser ambitious thing is that okay, I will build a co-pilot for a sales rep to perform uh, 2 out of the 10 tasks which the person is doing. This is a pitch which you can give. Now, the same technology can be sold as, uh, go deeper into the particular two activities which the person is doing, and you say that I'll automate completely and ensure that you will reach 40 percentage additional revenue from me. It might end up being the same thing. You're automating or you're assisting the couple of things to whatever the person is doing, but you're having more ownership over here. You're saying that okay, I will do this. I have seen companies do this, by the way. Like, there is this company called Artisan, and there's another company called 11x. So 11x had this thing that you pay us $40,000 for a quarter, hire an AI based SDR, effectively saying that SDR were human agents. You hire an AI SDR. If it works out for you, you get to continue. You define the rules for what it needs to work out. I need 15 conversations per month and stuff like that. But if it doesn't work out, they'll refund the money. So that shows confidence, saying that okay, I will make it work. So that's not manipulation. Like, I mean, I'll go to the extent of saying that it didn't work out completely for them, in the sense that there was 90% churn. 90 percentage of their customers was asking their money back. But the thing is that now you have a headway. You've started, at least 10 percentage of the people are retaining. uh, that starts playing a massive role. And the fourth part is also fairly critical, and this is where at least uh, it took me some time to get there. It took me an idea and a team to get to the last part, saying that if you're able to love your problem and solution, selling starts becoming much easier. A couple of examples over here again. Perplexity is a massive example. I know Arvind for the last 15 years. For the last 7 years of his life, he has been talking about replacing Google. Uh, I was inside Google when he was talking about it to me. With time, you realize that okay, he has made it a mission and vision for himself. That okay, how do I go about it? How deep I can go, and what are the structures so that you can like, let's say, go after such a large market what Google has built up into. Uh, Now, one of the things which I am trying to do is trying to automate the economy. What I mean by automate the economy is that Currently, artificial intelligence systems are very, very creative. Uh, you give enough number of tries to them, they'll be able to come up with the right answer. What I am trying to build is a verifiable AI where uh, artificial intelligence systems, they can come up with a lot of these answers. My verifier will ensure that I'm able to pick the right answer. So what ends up happening over here is that the whole digital knowledge worker economy can be automated in this setup, right? AI can already generate a lot of these creative outputs. If I know that this is the right output, I can start performing very, very long task chains. Right now, that's not a innate ability of AI that they can perform longer and longer chains. Like if you give a month to AI, the trouble is that if it does some miscomputation at some point in time, or a little bit of hallucination will take it along a completely different direction, you will get a useless output at the end of the month. How do you ensure that artificial intelligence can work for months, work for years consistently? That is my vision over here. I love what I'm trying to do. It sounds like an outrageous mission. I'm trying to automate myself out of the system, but it gives me such a large problem statement to go after that selling becomes a lot easier. When I'm trying to portray something as large as that, now if I'm trying to dumb it down to say that okay, I'm first trying to do it for coding, very specifically SQL, or if I'm trying to say that okay, I'm trying to do it for legal, very specifically tax laws, things start becoming more palatable to people because the vision is so big, and that helps you sell as well. And this is another key thing. This I learned through, like, this I've done consistently correctly through my multiple different startup journeys as well, that at any point in time, don't feel perturbed to talk to a person who you see as an authority in the domain. Like, let's say you're trying to sell something into sales, you need to shoot for like CEO of Salesforce, CEO of HubSpot. Try to see how you can get a pathway to them, try to understand more from them. In general, you will notice that this is much easier. We might perceive that this is much harder, but this tends to be a lot easier if you just go after this as a very specified problem statement. And you will also figure out that you're not going to, let's say, sell something to these experts per se. You are going for knowledge, and most people are generous with knowledge. They'll be open to sharing a bunch of these stuff with you. And one of the key parts over here is that you need to be open to hearing their, I mean, they might come with their own strong opinions. You should be open to hearing those. It doesn't mean that you need to change your opinion, but that is what will give you a segue into understanding, okay, what are the expert opinions. You'll again be able to find that there are concurrent opinions and there are divergent opinions. You can again go back to the drawing board, see what it fits. But one of the key parts over here is, when you have concurrent opinion with an expert, your energy levels will go 5x 10x. That is a very, very key understanding over here. Like, even from my very early startup days, even while I was back in college, in my like maximal days, when you actually go to the field, when you speak to the people, talking to the users, or even like oil and gas refinery ka MD and stuff like that, you will get an understanding that they also have, like, when you are seeing that your problem is resonating with that person, or your solution strategy is resonating with that person, your energy levels will spike significantly. And yeah, I mean, the other things, just you can take a wiser call over there. You don't need to completely buy into that, but don't talk yourself out of talking to experts. That's a very major thing. You might think that okay, this person is out of my reach. That generally is not the case. You will always be able to find ways to reach out, and even spending some time in trying to figure out that way will be very, very helpful. And one of the core things over here, again, going on this lines, is about network, right? This is something which I understood much, much later. But IIT Madras is a phenomenal network. I can't overstate this. You It will be very very interesting that how many of these people are like one hop connects to you. You will find that one of your very close friends is very closely in touch with an expert somewhere. Most of the people who are like looking in and around, right, all of them are going to be big folks in one way or the other, and they ensure that at least your time in IITM right now, leverage it to a huge extent that you develop that rapport with sufficient number of high capable folks. Uh, I think I've done a fairly decent job at it, but it took me 5 6 years to realize that I've done a good job at it. In the sense that I was somewhat perturbed in leveraging my network, but now I'm more freer. Like I know that I can also contribute to the network now. Like let's say like 7 8 people in the call right now, right? You guys can anyway reach out to me. I'll be able to answer you, and I won't worry in reaching out to Rupesh sir saying that okay, I need these kind of connections. Like this particular formal verification professor is very exciting to me. You are connected to him. Please connect me and stuff like that, right? These kind of things make sure that you leverage your network and ensure that you keep growing it to a good extent as well. Um, I would actually say even do it actively, but even if you're doing it passively, just recognize that it is always okay to ask. Most of the times we end up doing a mistake of being very very finicky about not asking. Better to ask. I mean, even if you get a snub, it's better. If you get 10 snubs and one good connection or one good conversation, your task is complete, rather than, let's say, thinking about it, spending a month for one particular message and failing at it. It's much better you just in these kind of things you should look at scale. Reach out to 5 people. If you want one connection, reach out to 5 different people who might be connected to that person, and see how you can extract value from them, and continuously give back to the society as well. That again is also not a very hard task. Like some of these things might be very very trivial. Like one of the ways I give back is just giving access to my network to other people. Like I consistently have multiple different people surrounding me starting up. They are looking to hire different people. They come to me asking, okay, whether you know some person. I know these kind of people. Or they come to me asking that, okay, you are connected to this person or something like that. It's fairly trivial that way. It will take you barely 5 10 minutes to do that. Just do it. It's those kind of things are like keep you in that founder circle and stuff like that. And another very subtle thing is right now again I believe is a massive startup wave. Even in my own very very close circle of like 10 to 15 people from IIT Madras, like batchmates or stuff like that, all of them have started. So one very strong ecosystem within your network will be your founder friends. uh, like one of the things which I was mentioning earlier, right? Founding a company is a very very lonely journey, and having these kind of people in the loop will be of immense help, because you will be like 3 months away from each other, 3 months or like 1 year away from each other. The other person would have seen what you have gone through, and that emotional ecosystem plays a massive role, especially in harder times. In good times also they can give you that whole like positive energy loop, saying that okay, like let's say you're trying to figure out what is the valuation you need to raise at and stuff like that. They can give you that positive energy loop. But in the bad times also they can give you, okay, the sample set, right? Most of these things run in analogy and looking at earlier data points. So stuff like that starts becoming like super useful. And yeah, I mean, I was very surprised. My first uh, take a fundraise was actually in my like just prior company, uh, where I had reached out to a few folks for angel checks. uh, the amount of time it took me to draft the first angel mail and send it out was higher than the amount of time it took me to raise my first 200k. It was pretty crazy. uh, I took around 2 to 3 weeks to find, okay, these are the different people I need to send to. Should I send them this? What will they think about me, etc., etc. Within a week or week and a half, people were actually okay. Like that was pretty new to me. I was thinking that, okay, people will have different types of bars. It doesn't end up being the case, and especially if you're trying to raise like an F&F round or friends and family round, angel checks come for like much lesser than what we imagined. Like my bar was that, okay, I need to reach out. Ultimately, I might have to reach out to 100 people to gain 5 checks. It ended up being something like I had a conversion ratio of 80 percentage from whom I was asking. So I was able to understand that these things work differently. Uh, Co-founder is not like that. Co-founder, you will need to find very, very, like, this time when I started out Pramana, I had a whole list of grand list of 3 people who I had decided that I can start up with. The larger list was around 8 people, but the other 5 people were already founders in their own companies. And in the grand list of 3 people, I've actually pulled 2 people in my as co-founders in my company. So that's, those kind of things will give you that raw energy to go after as well. So yeah, at any point in time, just being a good Samaritan, especially in the founder ecosystem, like if someone is founding a company, having that proper network around them, that tends to help a lot. So it's pretty much it. This is not like a very uh, nowhere close to a Bible type of thing. Just my set of opinions which I have developed over time, and yeah, you're just open to questions, right? Like, and ask me any question, I'll be happy to answer. Anything which you found interesting, anything which you find outside of whatever you generally hear, I would generally place a higher value onto it. Some of these things might have been obvious, but if you think that something is contradicting normal logic, I'm open to discussions, and I'm also open to sharing like my personal experience on those things as well.
Thanks a lot, Ranjan. I think this was full of lot of learning, and definitely, at least as academicians, we don't probably get into these aspects, but something which is definitely of lot of work for our students uh, and future entrepreneurs. One question I have from your experience is, when you mentioned that there are multiple ways you can get in touch with experts, did you have to sometimes pay for it? I mean, financially, that is, let's say there is a conference and then only you will be able to meet that person or something like that.
Uh, I have had friends who have done that. I have not done that myself. Most likely, I like to go through warm connections and stuff. But conference is a very conference is a standard thing. People do that to meet people. Uh, I would not pay a connector. That's something which I can say. Like, let's say someone is asking money to connect with someone else. Those are some things which I'll stay away from. Conference, if you have a very clear understanding that, okay, these kind of people are coming. I've actually attended a few conferences. My hit ratio has not been very high over there. Where, okay, will I be able to get that time with that person? That was not very high. Uh, Again, there are various ways. If you know the person, even if you have spoken once or if you have been in the same room once, you have a much higher chance of just mailing the person directly. The second is having a warm connect. Warm connect has worked very well for me across the board. Like, just go to that person, just tell them that, okay, this is your requirement, and that has worked significantly well for me. I think you're an example of that. That for me, Rupesh, sir. Like, I have come to you multiple different times for these different types of introductions too.
Yeah,
So
our doors are always open.
yeah. I mean, the thing is, there are a lot of people in that zone. We tend to put a higher bar. This is generally not necessarily the case, right? And like asking the right questions is the rough thing for it. Yeah,
So Ranjan, I have a question. Am I audible? This is Nari here.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay. My
Yes.
question is, so you've spoken very nicely about all your experiences, which and your learnings, uh, which are tightly coupled with this business of starting a business, keeping it running, figuring out when is idea good enough, when to bail out, etc., etc. So the question that I have is, how does this whole experience uh, bond with, let us say, normal things in life? I mean, so for example, let's assume, I mean, there are you have a family, they have expectations and things like that. How do actually founders manage this? So is it not something that's spoken about at all? In which case, I'm fine. But do
No,
you have
no.
any thoughts?
Yeah. I have a lot of thoughts around this. Uh, One thing which I have left out of this is that family support is an absolute must. Is an absolute must. For a like a bachelor type of life, it might sound a little bit different, and the scope for experimentation might be much higher. But even there, getting your parents in the loop and stuff like that actually helps you. When you have your expectations fairly set, things run a lot easier. And there is, I mean, work life balance does not exist as a founder. That much I can very well tell you.
See,
Like,
my question is not about work-life balance. I'm okay with putting like 15, 16, 18 hours a day and all. All that is okay, right?
correct.
But the expectations that come from that are there from those 16 to 18 hours a day of effort, right? From
Yeah.
people who are close to you. That I think that is the question that I'm asking. So how do
Oh, okay. So there I tell you something at least in my case, this is my personal experience over here. Uh, I have always felt that I've exceeded my, let's say, family expectations of me. Even when I platform something as a failure myself, uh, my family has seen it as a success. So for me, I felt that my bar was significantly higher, and that tends to help. I have actually not had cases where I was the last person to understand that something was going wrong. Um, it it actually, I mean, it came more from my like friend circle and stuff like that. But yeah, I generally, at least I generally don't think that you have like a very high chunk of time you spend with friends. You generally tend to spend more chunk of time with family, and that yeah, at least for me, I had like a very tightened support system. Like you can think about it, right? Like I've just come out of a startup. I'm again starting up. It took me around 2 to 3 months to even figure out which person to work with and what idea to work on. I had very clean conversations with my parents and my wife, talking about all of these things. And interestingly, I'm a father now, so there are like a bunch of these. It was through this journey again. Like it's yeah. So it all of these things in their silos were like high voltage conversations. um, but if you're able to trust them to a very high extent, and I believe that you should be able to trust them, much better to have all of these conversations foreloaded, have a very clear set clarity, right? And I mean, that's also one very key thing which I was talking about earlier about time boxing. Have a time box. Like whatever you're trying out, if you're saying that okay, I'm going to try this out for the rest of my life, that is a very hazy thing which will frighten people.
that's right?
But if you're saying that I'm going to try this out for the next year and a half, and in the year and a half, this is my expectation, and if I have not made significant progress towards my expectation, then so be it. uh, I tried, I succeeded, or I failed. If you're giving that level of clarity, people will generally be fine. And in the world we are living in, also we are living in a very very accelerated world. 1.5 years is good amount of time to see whether you are making progress. So we can like punt and park that 1.5 years. That's how I'm also looking at it right now. Okay, I am giving this shot. And especially the startup world is, it is not a 90% shot. Whatever you're going to take is like a 5%, 10% shot. You need to have like enough amount of arrows in your armory, that you take these like different 5%, 10% shots, and something clicks and you become big. That is the way you need to look at it. It takes a lot of time for people. Like, to be very honest, I have faced the reverse trouble. Like, let's say there is something which I mark as a failure. It took time for my family to perceive that as a failure. My family was like convincing me that okay, you need to put in more time to try and solve it. So I have faced the reverse, but generally it's also about the bar which you keep for yourself. And one thing which kind of helped me over here, like again, what I was talking about, my founder ecosystem, right? I've seen a bunch of companies. I know when something is working. I have seen that okay, this is what it needs to work. Like if let's say you have a plan for 2 weeks and it gets completed in 4 days, you know that it works. You have a plan for 2 weeks, uh, it has been 3 months and it is not done, then you know that it doesn't work. But you
That's
uh,
your first point. Yeah.
huh yeah,
That's somehow related to your first point in your talk.
correct. So time boxing is a very very key aspect. Respecting your time comes at a very very high priority. That plays a very very crucial role. And most of these things tend to feed to each other. So some of these things is that like my wife understands when she'll have to contact me and stuff like that. And vice versa, I know that whenever my wife is calling me, that's of like super high importance. I'll place everything else secondary. I'll rush. So I have that mental model on what is going to work, what are the adjustables, so to speak. uh, Unless let's say your wife is also a founder, your parents or your kids are also founders, it is I believe that it is very hard for them to get that sense of what a founder life is. It is pretty crazy. I have probably done a crash course for my parents on what even these things mean, right? Like they now know what pre-seed is. They know what a safe note is. They know what a fund valuation is, and a bunch of these terminologies. And if I say fail fast, their terminology of fail fast might be 2 years, 3 years. My terminology of fail fast is in like 1 month. So how do you even make them understand? My journey was a lot different. uh, yeah, but if the other people are like understanding this faster, in the I mean, my co-founders are actually relying on me for all of these kind of gyan, so to speak. So they are new to the founding world. They are ramping up fairly quickly. So you just need to have that trust over there, I believe. Am I answering your question, or was it in
Yeah,
a
you are. So summary of what you said is that trust is a very important thing, and you also need to ensure that your aspirations with respect to the startup vis-a-vis the family are very clear. They should be time boxed in a clear way, and of course there'll be dynamic situations where everything else takes a second priority and family gets the first thing. So yeah, kind of got a picture. Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Thanks.
yeah, sure.
Great. Congrats. All the best with your initiatives.
Thank you so much.
Anybody from the audience has any questions? Abdul, Shamil, uh, Jailal. All right. So if not, let me thank Ranjan. Thanks a lot for taking out time from your busy schedule. I think, but these are really very interesting aspects that we got to learn, and I'm sure other students will also find this helpful when we post this video, not only at IIT Madras but even elsewhere. So thanks a lot for your time, Ranjan.
Yeah, sure, sir. Thanks a lot, Jailal, sir. Nice connecting with a lot of professors. Yeah,
Thank you, Ranjan. Wish you all the best.
yeah. Thank you so much. Yeah,
See
let's
you.
stay
Bye.
in
Bye,
touch.
everyone.
Bye bye.